What's going on, everybody? This is the first episode of the Feed to Embiid in a new season. That's right. We are in the 2020-21 NBA season that is upon us at this time. Brock, my good pal, you turn 21 tomorrow. 21. My youngster Brock Landis is 21 tomorrow.
Finally.
I can't believe my young son is growing so fast. And I did reward you with a King Cobra for your birthday. For that, there we go.
Got one of these on hand.
Love that. So, how are you doing tonight, my buddy?
I'm good, man. AK, you know me. I'm living my best life. I'm unbothered. So wins and losses in the NBA, it doesn't affect my mental. But I've been all right in Austin. Quick little shout out to you. When I got that package, it's funny, Austin asked for my address. And it's not every day people ask for your house address. So I know you're a good guy. You're not up to no good. But I'm thinking to myself, like, what the hell do I have to give Austin Crow my address for? Why is he asking for my house address? Is he trying to dox me? Like, did he not like the energy I brought on the last podcast? Is he going to dox me? So after a few minutes, I sent my address, and then it dawned on me it's probably like a holiday package. We're both Jewish. We already celebrated Hanukkah. So I'm not getting a package late in December for Hanukkah. So I'm thinking maybe it's like a Christmas, one of those little packages for Christmas, a gift or something. And I know I don't celebrate Christmas. So again, I'm like, I don't know if that's it. And I got the package in the mail, and I saw on the label, King Cobra. And then it made sense. I was like, okay, he sent me a King Cobra. And when I opened it and I read the note, it was only like a sentence or two. I don't know, man. I just got goosebumps. It was one of those like Kobe and Shaq, Gary Payton, Sean Kemp-esque moments where I read the note and I couldn't stop smiling. I just put it down. And I was thrilled that you sent me that. So Austin, AK, I appreciate you very much.
There we go. My man. So you turn 21 tomorrow. And of course, the Sixers give you a reason to celebrate.
Yeah.
Yeah, a nice drubbing at the hands of the Cleveland Cavaliers. We are 3 games into this season. They're 2-1. And I think, this is a time, we reflect on the first week of play, and we kind of give our observations. And, I think for me, one of the things is I'm kind of struggling with this, like, at what sample size do you say, okay, we know what this team is, and like at what point is it? Oh, it's 3 games. Oh, it's 5 games. Oh, it's 7 games. Oh, it's 24 games. At what point do you say, like, no, this is what they are. This is what their problems are. These are real problems. I think for me, the first thing that is very obvious, is clear, comes to mind is, and everyone says it, but they do lack that, perimeter creator, a perimeter shot creator. Tobias Harris can't even make a decision in a timely fashion, let alone create shots off the dribble quickly. And Ben obviously is an offense generator, but he is an isolation guy that can create shots for you off the dribble. I think they kind of have a by committee type thing going on with like Shake, Maxey a little bit. And there are some guys here and there, but I think a lot of the same issues from previous seasons are front and center to go on this season. But one thing that I have observed is, Danny Green's bad. It's not even Covington levels of mediocre. It's like the guy can make it from one spot and that's it.
Mm-hmm. The corner, right?
Yeah, those corners. Yeah. But like, you can't dribble at all. Don't ask him to dribble. No. His defense has kind of evaded him since the season, and that's a concern. And then again, I think about like, well, what did you give up to get him? You gave up a pick and Al Horford. Like that was what you gave up. What did you expect?
Exactly.
So, that's kind of where I am with that. But Seth Curry is a problem, I think, right now. And again, it is sample size, so there is a benefit of a doubt to be offered to this point. But he's very timid in this offense. He's not a quick trigger, quick release guy. He's looking to see if he should make the extra pass. He's looking to sort of attack the closeout off the dribble. It isn't like catch, bang, going up with it. And that's a problem. They're not good shooters right now, and that can change in a week. But they're not good shooters at this moment, and there's a lot of things there that I think need to be tracked, need to be paid attention to. But right now, the shooting is a problem for me.
I agree. Now, again, you talk about this sample size, and internally, there's a dilemma because last season, it's like we see it in 10 games, we see it in 20, we see it in 30. At a certain point, the team is what the team is. And some people like to keep those goggles off where they keep saying, okay, this isn't who they are. They're going to improve. And I was one of those people last year. And then there's the people that overreact. It's one bad game. It's 5 bad games. It's a stretch of bad games. And you get the overreactions. But ultimately, you know what's on this roster, right? With Joel Embiid, he's exactly who he is. One of the most dominant bigs in the NBA when he's motivated and on the floor. And it shows in games when he's utilized that way. In the game against Washington, I believe 18 post-up attempts, and he scores 27-plus points. Well, historically, when Embiid has 15-plus post-ups, the Sixers win. They have a winning percentage way above 500, and his averages go north of 30 in those games. He comes back in the next game against New York. He's only in the post 10, maybe 11 times, and still he's able to assert his dominance. He's able to get deep into the post, get good positioning, get under the basket, and make an early impact. When he sets the tone, the team does well. The problem is everybody else on the team is exactly who they are. Tobias Harris is going to give you exactly what he's given the Clippers, exactly what he's given Detroit, the Sixers of yesteryear. He's a guy that's going to hit spots comfortably. When he gets to those spots in space and he could get his shot off, he's going to hit them. But when he's asked to do more, when he's asked to make quick decisions off the dribble, when he's asked to bring the ball up past half court and generate offense, that's where struggles arise. Ben Simmons, at this point, he's 24, right? So I'm still banking on his potential. But again, the organization paid him out a max contract before he turned 24 years old. It's his 3rd consecutive season where we've said, okay, Ben Simmons has sky-high potential. He impacts the game in more ways than you can count on both hands and feet. Defense, rebounds, assists, generating three-point shots. The problem is, Austin, your opening remark is exactly right. The team lacks what every good basketball team needs, and that's a true point guard, an initiator of offense. The thing is, Ben Simmons is 6'10", 220-plus pounds, I'm going to say, right? I think he's over 220. He's probably like 240. He plays the point, and that's awesome because every time you're in the half court and you can feed Simmons in the post and give him floor spacing, he's going to exploit the mismatch. Off the wing, he's going to beat guys with his speed and get to the bucket. The problem is Ben is nowhere near as aggressive as he should be on offense. And because of that, I can't call him a point guard. Kyle Lowry, more free throw attempts last season. Spencer Dinwiddie, more free throw attempts last season. Lou Williams, more free throw attempts last season. If you watch Zion Williamson on the Pelicans, all he does is get to the rack and either get fouled or get a bucket. There's no reason Ben can't be doing that. And the thing is, he doesn't. Because he doesn't do that in the half court, there's this lack of offense, right? So in games where Joel Embiid doesn't play and you can't get him in the post and give it to him for a bucket 10 to 18 times a game, there's this serious lack of offense. And Ben Simmons is still one of the best offensive creators in the NBA. But the problem is, if you can't slow down in the half court and run sets, which they did well with Embiid, the two-man game was thriving. If you can't have Ben Simmons run down in the half court and run sets as a point guard, it's hindering your offense. So, yeah, of course, the Sixers still need a perimeter scorer. a guy that can create off the dribble, a guy that can take guys to the elbow, make a move, and then do something. They can isolate, they can drive. And unfortunately, the Sixers historically have thrown low usage guys into this role. Shake Milton, low usage. Seth Curry, low usage. TJ McConnell, low usage. They continually overlook the fact that they need a point guard to really kickstart this offense in a gear. And until you have that point guard, you're going to have nights where there's 21 plus turnovers. You're going to have nights where Ben Simmons dribbles into the paint, he jumps in the air and tries to make a pass, and he just throws it at nobody. Or he throws it off of a Cavalier player, or he gets blocked. Because he's so fast, he's running down in transition, he beats everybody, the teammates around him get set, now he's so deep under the basket, there's no pass to make. Because he's ran so far past everybody at such a fast speed, there's just no pass to make. He's swarmed now. So, Austin, I think your opening point is exactly right.
I'm shocked that I was right about something. Wow.
Yeah.
Don't forget, everybody, to leave your comments, your remarks, your questions, your debate topics in the comments section. We will be responding to them all show. Again, only going to go for about an hour or so tonight, maybe a little less, because Brock has a big day ahead of him tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
All that stuff. So, I don't think it's the point guard part of it that's like the issue for me. Mm-hmm. But for me, it's just like you don't have that guy that is going to create you shots when an offense stagnates. Like against the Wizards, it was disgusting for that first 6 minutes of the second half. There were portions of the New York game last night that was an issue. They still cut down turnovers. And we're better better there, but then it balloons right back up again tonight. Sorry. My only real problem with Ben is that those jump turnovers where he goes to make a pass that isn't there. He jumps for a play that isn't there, and it's just sort of like, well, you're either going to throw the ball away or you're going to come back down with it because we know you're not going to shoot it. And so those type of plays are problematic for me. But really, like, I think the lack of aggressiveness in scoring is kind of something that we've seen out of him in years past early on, because he just doesn't really know like his new teammates yet necessarily. And he's just trying to figure out like how he can distribute the ball, get guys involved while also, being effective himself. And when you kind of don't know what guys are, what makes guys tick, you are going to try to figure out what brings out the best in them first before, as a purported leader of a team, before you try to go and, get yours. But he will. He always does, especially when it becomes close to All-Star time, although that isn't a thing this year. Mm-hmm. But another thing for me that's a concern is, I know we expect, or I know, the fans expect Doc to sort of like be this game-changing coach, and that he's he's light years better than Brett Brown, and maybe he is. But I mean, let's face the music. A lot of the same offense is present as it was last year.
Yeah, it is. Other than implementing a little bit more two-man game and the pick and roll, the offense does look similar. And, of course, you make another good point, Austin. There's new faces and new roles, so people still have to get adjusted to that. But the thing is, like I said, this team is who this team is. Tobias Harris is an individual playmaker that could score at all three levels on some nights. He can't help his teammates out in the way of assisting. Seth Curry, the same, an individual playmaker, and if you want to make the argument, a low-usage point guard. But there's really no point guard on this team that can kickstart and initiate certain plays. So a lot of what you'll see is Dwight Howard or Joel with the ball at the top of the key, and they'll initiate a dribble handoff. But they'll run the two-man game. But most of the creativeness you'll see with Doc is going to be on plays out of a timeout, on inbounds plays, maybe adjustments in the second half. I noticed in the first game or the second game it was the first time in a year where they had a fourth quarter with no turnovers. And prior, they had at least 4 to 7 in each quarter. That's an adjustment that a coach helps make. But like I said, Austin, this team is who this team is. You can't disguise it. No matter how many shooters you put around them, this team is who this team is. But having said that, I think the floor spacing has helped, and it's been a noticeable difference. When Ben and Joel are catching the ball in the post, they usually have 4 guys or 3 guys outside of the perimeter and enough room to at least see if there's a double team coming or have space to work. So I have noticed some good floor spacing early.
Right. Marky215 says Ben just needs to be more aggressive, scoring and cut those dumb drive and kick turnovers. Danny holds the ball way too much and makes bad passes. Dwight fouling too much and get the ball out. Cork my hands. I agree with a lot of that. Dwight has been fouling a ton. And I think the fouling thing is something that's been a problem for Dwight throughout his career. And so I don't think that's going to somehow go away at age 35. Like it's part of it's part of his MO at this point. I do think there's an element of his reputation lends itself to the refs having maybe a quicker whistle with him than they do with other guys, because there are times when he just like doesn't even touch somebody, or you don't even like the foul is called before the play develops.
You remember that Indiana preseason game with Sabonis?
Yeah.
They were calling a foul every 30 seconds.
Yeah, it was horrible. It was horrible. But I think in this role, and I think Dwight's been fabulous so far as a leader.
He's been awesome, yeah.
As an energizer bunny on the court. But I think in this role, when you look down the bench at the other options, it's like, are you going to really play Vincent Poirier, who hasn't touched the floor yet? I mean, Tony Bradley's like okay. Energy guy, but I mean he has no coordination. It's a hot potato as soon as he catches the ball. Like Ben is okay and as a small ball 5 in spurts, but really it's a moderation type thing. And then Mike Scott is dreadful as a stretch 5 because they don't even respect him at this point. They weren't even respecting him because he misses horribly more than he makes. But I mean, you look down the bench and you're like, Dwight really has to stay in this game because there's a big drop off between him and the next best option to be the backup center.
And more importantly, Austin, we got to talk about Joel Embiid. I mean, this is the elephant in the room. This is something that I know we're going to touch on. I don't know how you feel about it, Austin.
What?
If you want the fabricated answer, the true answer, I'll give you both. So the true answer is that I personally don't care. I mean, listen, they said it was back tightness. Austin, I have back tightness, okay? Now, I hate being that guy because Joel Embiid's 7 feet plus, 280 plus, whatever he is.
It's a little different.
So if the dude has back tightness, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. Let's say he's back tight. But let's call a spade a spade. It was load management. This is the second of a back-to-back. Doc could say it was a late scratch. This was load management. So the true answer is that I personally don't care. I think load management is beneficial. And listen, I'm not paying Joel Embiid to do a job. That's up to the organization that's paying him $150 million, and the coach is getting $5 million a year. If they're worried about it, they have every right to. Me, I'm not paying Joel Embiid to do anything. He doesn't owe me anything. So if he wants to take a night off, I'm completely fine with that. The fabricated answer I'll give you, which is probably the answer most fans will give you, is that it's ridiculous. He sat out tonight, and I can understand why. If you look around the league, Nikola Jokic, he played 15 more minutes than Embiid through their first 2 games, almost doubled him in touches, and he'll play 30-plus minutes tomorrow versus Houston. Andre Drummond, second game on a back-to-back.
It's a good matchup. Is that ESPN tomorrow?
Yeah. Against Houston, yeah. But I don't know if Boogie and Wall are playing because I don't know if they completed the 7.
Speaking of, Harden put on a show last night with a 6-pack of beer under her shirt.
Yeah, he did. That was funny. So as I was saying, Andre Drummond's second on a back-to-back. He played overtime in his previous game. He had 7 more touches than Embiid through their first 2. He played 30 minutes tonight. Domantas Sabonis, second of a back-to-back. He played more minutes and had more touches than Embiid through their first 2 games. He played over 30 minutes tonight. Julius Randle, Nikola Vucevic, it's a continuing trend. More minutes, more touches than Embiid. In both cases, they had back-to-backs. This was their second on back-to-backs, and they both played upwards of 30 minutes, right? So if Joel Embiid wants to be in consideration for the most valuable player award, he's going to have to start taking accountability and play these games. I don't know if it's him babying himself. I don't know if it's the organization, the coaching staff babying him. But LeBron, at 35 years old, played 67 of 69 regular season games. Giannis played 63 of 68 regular season games. James Harden played 68 of 72 regular season games. So, Austin, Joel Embiid, if you want the truth from me, can sit out as long as he wants, as many nights as he wants, if it will preserve his health, and he'll play every minute the team asks of him come playoff time. But the fabricated answer I'll give you, which is the answer most people will give you, is that it's ridiculous.
The load management on WIP will give you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
But a game like tonight, Austin, I don't know how Embiid can sit on the sideline and watch his team get shellacked by the Cavaliers, right? He could have gone out and played 25 minutes at the most, and still would have been well rested for Toronto on Tuesday. I just gave you a list of 5 other centers that did it. So there really is no excuse. If it was real back tightness, then okay. But knowing Joel Embiid's history, and especially with this team, I think they gave him the night off.
Fair enough. I mean, I was in the conference after the game, and at this point, that's just me flexing a little bit. But Doc said it wasn't a worry going forward, and that they don't expect it to be a lingering issue. And for me, I remember reading a piece from Mike O'Connor for the Ricky that was basically like back when Ty Lue was the Cavs, he would basically like put them in worse position in regular season games to win by like blitzing pick and rolls and basically forfeiting, the lane on defense because they wanted to prepare them for the Cavalier or for Kevin Durant and the Warriors. So I mean, it's sort of a similar idea. Like I think number one, sure, there's probably Doc even says he says, we don't want to chance it this early in the season. So in other words, load management. You don't want to chance anything, load management. Number two, I think they recognize that the guy, he can be injured from at any point, and they want to get those reps and get some evidence and some data to work with as early as they can when games aren't as critical necessarily without Joel there. And so I think tonight they thought was a good opportunity to do so, is to get some reps without Joel on the court. And if that puts them in a better position to win games in March and April and in the playoffs, if Joel has to sit, then I don't think anyone's going to give a shit about a random game on December 27th. It stings because the Eagles lose today. And the fans in the city are ridiculous. Nadir Aga says, I fully blame Doc. Of course you blame Doc.
I blame Brett Brown.
Yeah. No, he fully blames Doc for Korkmaz airballing threes. I mean, let's talk about Korkmaz. You can use him as a ball handler in moderation, like on like a 1 every 5 or 6, maybe 7 plays. You can allow him to navigate a pick and roll in space. He should not be navigating it multi-possessional when he's in the game. And the guy misses so many open threes. It's absurd. And I know that they're humans. That it's the NBA. It's a deep shot. It's not an easy shot to make. It is when your role and your specialty is shooting threes. There's no way Korkmaz should be. There's no way I should have to second guess whether Korkmaz is going to make or miss an open 3-point shot. It's absurd. And if he's missing those shots, you can't play him. He's not effective otherwise. And those minutes in a blowout are better served going to Tyrese Maxey, Isaiah Joe, or Matisse Thybulle. And Doc says that they're going to give Thybulle his chances. We'll see. I think if there's a trade package out there, he's probably involved in it in some way. Marky215 says, I notice every time Ben is on the elbow about to make a move, Tobias is the paint right behind him, trying to post up to Doc. Need to remind them what their roles are. I actually noticed this today in the Cleveland game. There was a time when Ben was moving off ball and the ball swung to Tobias in the corner, and Ben comes and posts up like right under Tobias's right leg and puts a help defender right up in his face. And I'm like, what are you doing? Get out of the way. Literally evacuate to the other side of the court. And Tobias is like doesn't know where to go. He's like jab stacking, having an aneurysm on the court.
Yeah.
It's like a disc skipping it's like a crack in a CD. Sticks like it keeps like skipping and goes back and over again. And he had nowhere to go, and Ben isn't noticing it. And I'm just like, what are you doing, dude? Get out of the way.
I saw it was in the Knicks game. I don't know so much as in the first game, but when Embiid was posting up, I noticed that Ben was usually in the dunker spot. He was the only other player in the perimeter with Joel Embiid on most of these post-ups, and they would flash him in the dunker spot to get even closer to Joel Embiid and bring more defense there. So I asked my dad, and he told me it was because if you flash Ben, then the defense has to respond. Somebody has to account for Ben, so they have to go get him as opposed to throwing a double team at Joe. That's also a little subtlety I noticed. But one encouraging thing to flip that coin is that I saw some plays in the first game where if it was like a horn set or they had staggers in the wing, I'm using a word you taught me, Ben was in the corner and the Sixers were still able to eliminate the baseline help. So in other words, the player that can't shoot, that everybody's worried about shooting, Ben Simmons, had enough gravity just standing in the corner on some of these horn sets where the defense still had to respect that shot. They still had to play somewhat close to Ben, where it made the offense's life a little bit easier driving because there was no baseline help there. They couldn't sag off Ben that much. So I've seen good things. I've seen bad things. But I think it's going to take a little bit of time to get fully used to Ben's role under Doc Rivers because right now I really don't know what it is, Austin. I mean, it's a primary ball handler. It's get a live rebound and get down the court. But at the same time, tonight was a night where it was just a brutal look for Ben. Not being aggressive enough, not getting to the line enough. And it's where all of his problems really get scrutinized. The one thing, Austin, I didn't like about tonight, and you know that I'm a Ben Simmons apologist through and through, and I'm at the forefront of the Ben Simmons Defensive Player of the Year campaign. You can't be a Defensive Player of the Year after a game like tonight. So you shut down R.J. Barrett. Somebody's got to post bail for him because he was locked up by Ben Simmons in the New York game. But with no Joel Embiid tonight, no anchor defensively, no rim protector that'll keep his head on a swivel and makes you able to play guys closer and step out further. With no Joel Embiid tonight, Ben Simmons got grilled on defense. And it was a collective effort. The Sixers' entire team looked terrible defensively tonight, but there was almost no resistance from Ben Simmons. And this is a guy who last year kept Colin Sexton and Darius Garland to a combined 4 of 16 from the field with 4 combined turnovers. So serious lack of production for Garland and Sexton a year ago. Tonight, Cleveland's offense, they were firing on all cylinders, and it was almost like the Sixers turned the ball over more than they put it in the bucket.
Yeah, it certainly felt that way for sure. Troy Fulton says, Ben Simmons is really holding us back. I am a fan of his. I really love his game. If you don't shoot, we will do this regardless. Initials that Envy is the best player on his team, and he is the man.
I'm getting probably Embiid, right?
I don't know what to make of that.
Probably Embiid.
I think the whole thing with Embiid or with Simmons and shooting, like, we have to stop doing this. I was listening to Jeff Van Gundy on the Low Post yesterday when I was at Chick-fil-A, my favorite restaurant. Got to have my But like he was saying, if they don't do it for Giannis, if they don't go out and cover Giannis, they're never going to go out and guard Ben Simmons. And the reason that you do that is because you can't take away everything. You have to take away the biggest threat, and that's going to inevitably always for guys like Ben Simmons, for Giannis, that's always going to be the paint. So he can shoot as many as you want him to. He can make himself look as bad as he wants by satisfying the fans by shooting the ball. They're never going to come out and contest because they're not going to leave the lane vulnerable and let him get to his strengths. It's never going to happen. So instead of doing that and harping on the one thing that he doesn't do, value everything else that he does, which is virtually everything at an elite level. Ileano 15 says Brock.
It's my guy.
I don't know who that is, but Brock.
Temple alum.
There we go. Let's see here. Nadir says Mike Missinelli thinking with Harden, Sixers would have more than 48 at the half against this Cavs direct. I think.
Don't put Mike Missinelli on my podcast.
Yeah.
Don't put Mikey Miss on my podcast. I get he's a Villanova alum. He might even be listening.
He's not a Villanova alum.
Isn't he? He didn't go to Nova?
No.
Who am I thinking of? Who went to Nova?
Me.
You went to Nova. I thought Mikey Miss was a Nova guy.
No.
I guess I'm tripping there.
He went to Penn State.
Did he? All right, that's even worse. That's even worse. I like him. I like him even less than I already did.
No, but like, okay, sweet. Maybe they win. Maybe they have 51 points at the half with James Harden. If we're gonna do this after every single game, this is gonna be the most miserable season ever.
No, they will.
They will, and it's annoying. Troy Fulton says, I don't want James Harden. I want Brooks from Phoenix. Oh boy.
Brooks. Booker?
He knows what he doesn't want, but he doesn't know who he doesn't want.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Willard Robinson says Atlantis Brock looks like Ben Simmons. He has to go as well. Wow.
I'm okay with that. That's a compliment. That's a backhanded compliment, but I'll take it.
Listen. Brock goes nowhere. Brock is the prized possession of our show. You're not getting Brock to go anywhere. Let's see. Troy Fulton says, even with that being said, our bottom man got outplayed 2 nights in a row. New York beat the hell out of us. Nobody really talking about that. What?
They beat him by 20.
What?
RJ Barrett shot 1 of 8 against Ben. Ben forced 3 turnovers.
He shot like 1 of 14 from the field, RJ Barrett.
I mean, no, I will say, listen, I love Julius Randle, left-hand GOAT, but he cooked Tobias in the first half.
Oh, yeah.
He cooked Tobias on a grill in the first half, but otherwise, I mean, New York lost by 20 in New York.
Listen, this guy, New York beat the hell out of us. New York, they literally beat the Knicks by 20 points. What are we doing?
Joe only played 5 minutes in the fourth. They potentially could have not even played the fourth. But then here's the thing I don't get, right? You're killing the Knicks. You take Joel Embiid out, okay? He sits against who they even play tonight. I forget. The Cavaliers. I forget already. He sits tonight against the Cavaliers. Austin, man, I don't understand it. The load management, just call it what it is. It's load management. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Troy Fulton, who is slowly but surely getting on my last nerve in the show. He does show that he's weak. He's a strong great. He has all the talent. And he can do it, but he just need to get it together. Somebody's telling him where he got Brett Brown fired. Okay, are you gonna? I don't even know anymore.
This
guy has been up a little too late tonight. Wow. The the Padres just acquired Blake Snell from the Rays.
All right, that's a big move. The Padres are a little better.
The Cy Young pitcher. That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Choice has stopped being scared to shoot the damn ball. Oh my God.
Hey, why don't you show my fans? Put my fans up here. Put my fans up on the screen. No. Before that, we'll get back to you.
Wait.
They're saying stay solid. There you go.
Brock, here's my proposition for you. We got to get you a T-shirt, and we got to sell T-shirts that just say "Stay solid, baby" with the emoji.
I mean, listen, man. I keep doing this, and I brand a little bit better. We might put that in the cards. That might be in the cards, AK. But you listen. That's not your idea anymore, though. Until you get that patent, that's my idea now.
Fair enough. Take a quick
focus.
Take a quick message from our sponsors. Brock, you are not 21 yet, but when you do turn 21, I suspect you will like shotgunning beer. And when you do, and you finally get invited to a party with your nerdy self, you'll probably want to increase your shotgun time at those parties. There we go. Check out my boys at the King Cobra. The King Cobra is a shotgunning tool that makes a perfect shotgunning hole under a second. It's also a tab puller, vent puncher, and all fits on a keychain.
Look at this thing, man.
King Cobra. Check them out on Instagram at the King Cobra Co. That's the King Cobra Co. And Cobra is spelled with a K. For 10% discount on all products, enter the code Trust the Cobra 10, all caps, all one word. Pick up yours today. So let's go over to Tobias Harris. So Tobias Harris, he has really, really struggled with quick decision making to this point in the season, and I feel like he's gotten a little better at it. He was better at it tonight, and I think he's slowly but surely beginning to like rise confidently into jump shots, but he's got to be like a half a second gone. Like the ball's already, the decision's already made. Half a second, goodbye, it's over. Tonight he was like stepping into threes confidently. I think he hit 3 threes tonight in the game against the Cavs. He was dreadful against the Wizards. A little bit better, but still pretty much. Well, no, he was a lot better against the Knicks. Wasn't he a plus 32 against the Knicks?
Yeah, plus 32, 50% shooting.
Yeah. So I think it's something that like Doc has approved upon and has talked about like very quietly and passively. Like he asked about it in the press conferences, and he's like, "Yeah, we'll get him watch film. It'll be all right." Like he kind of like acknowledges it, but then he goes past it very quickly. And then I asked Tobias about his decisions, and he was like, "Gotta pick your decisions. That's out." He told me something to shut up, nerd. But I thought he was better tonight. And, I think an avenue that they should explore that maybe they have and I just missed it. But if he's a more efficient, a better scorer, if he's making quicker decisions, what does that look like if you enable him as a playmaker? So, like, what if you're allowing him to sort of branch out and do more than score? If you give him tunnel vision, you're kind of also not limiting him per se, but you're kind of making him fit in a box. And that's kind of what he was doing already, in a sense. I think if you enable him to be a playmaker in some ways, you can actually get something out of him more. And if you can get him to sort of find that balance between bang decisions and then making plays, maybe there's something untapped there. But then again, this is the same guy who can't do a jump stop. It's always like a reverse pivot into an offensive foul because he swings the elbow, or he just travels and hits somebody or commits an offensive foul. So I think he's getting better, but the fact that we've been reduced, that the conversation has been reduced to like, if only we can get him to stop thinking before he scores. It's pretty bad for a guy who's making 30+ million.
It is, but Austin, I think giving him more responsibility as a playmaker or a ball handler is partially what factors into this lack of efficiency. So I did a deep dive into his numbers under Doc in LA and compared them to his numbers under Brett Brown in Philadelphia. And what I saw was a lot of uniform, like for the most part, everything was the same, if not higher volume in Philadelphia. The drives, off screens, 3-point shooting, things of that sort. And it made me wonder why the efficiency was so much higher in LA than it was in Philadelphia. And other than a slight discrepancy in pick and roll possessions, which there was more of in LA under Doc, it really came down to role definition. And I think that's incredibly important for guys like Tobias Harris. I call Tobias a street ball hooper. He's an old school street ball hooper in the sense that he's going to get grown man buckets, but he's going to get them in the same spot in the same way every time. I've said it 3 times this show already. Tobias is who Tobias is. Now, in Philadelphia under Brett Brown, he wasn't stationed in good positions. He second-guessed his shot because of that, and he took too many extra dribbles. But he's a guy where if you can get him downhill or free in space in spots he's comfortable shooting the ball, he's going to be efficient. So if he has the ball in the corner and now he's asked to maybe swing to the wing and then dribble around the screen and look for a guy in the other corner, look for a feed down low, that's when there's too many decisions for him to make. But if he gets the ball on the wing and all he has to do is navigate around a screen to hit the elbow for a pull-up shot, that's when you get the efficiency. When he gets the ball at the top of the key and all he has to do is move north-south around a screen, that's when you get the efficiency. When he catches it, steps into a shot, and with no hesitation, quick draw pulls it, that's when you get the efficiency. When you're asking him to do more than that and make more decisions, that's when you get the lack of efficiency. When he doesn't know his role, when he doesn't know where his shots are coming from on the floor. So I think Doc is keeping it very simple because that's what it is. This isn't a lack of volume thing. This isn't even a role definition thing anymore because Doc is his coach. He's telling them, this is what you have to do. This is where your shots are coming from. At this point, it's a Tobias thing. It's in his head. And Doc made a great point. None of us are in Tobias's head. So you can watch film all you want, but unless you're Tobias, you're not going to know what he's contemplating. But what I've seen in the past 2 games from Tobias is better decision-making. Confidence in his shot. Get it, quick draw, shoot. Don't make an extra jab step. Don't take 5 extra dribbles. Don't make your job any harder than it has to be. Get to your spot, get to where you're comfortable shooting, and let it fly. And that's why I think he'll be efficient and probably return to LA efficiency under Doc if he can maintain this role in Philadelphia.
Yeah, I don't even know what to say anymore. Yeah, I mean, I don't know that he'll ever return to that. I mean, if he can, great. I just think that he's devolved so much that you really can't get much for him on the open market, I don't think. And maybe you can get to a point where he's confident. I mean, I just think he's lost all confidence, really.
I mean, he does look a little lost, and that's compounded by the fact that he's the highest paid player on the Sixers and has one of the highest paid contracts in NBA history.
Yeah. And I was talking to some people, and I do think that weighs on him more than maybe he would let on, or even the fans think. Like a lot of the fans, especially the older boomers who have like the egg Twitter and like the word plus like 18 numbers followed by that for their username. They're like, oh, he's just getting his money and that's it. Like, no, I genuinely think that he feels like he should be putting on more of a performance, and that puts added pressure on him to make every shot. But I think if you can get him confident again, get him making quick decisions, it's better for him. And all he needs is a string of like a couple of games in a row where you're getting, 17, 18, 24, 26, 21, 30. Just getting them back, getting him back to a point where he's seeing the ball going into the basket and he's not missing threes so short. Brock, you really need to get a new camera, buddy.
I got the camera. I'm in HD now too, looking good as hell. But I gotta get this focused on me.
Wow, look at this. This is riveting podcast stuff right here. Wow, the hand. That's a nice hand you got there, buddy.
Yeah. Let's see if that works.
Stay solid.
That didn't work either. Look, Moose just hopped in. My man Moose. He said we need him to be more consistent. I need this damn camera to be more consistent.
That's right. Take a quick break and talk about our sponsors again. Our new sponsor, we have a new sponsor. It is the Thrive Fantasy Sports app. That was officialized while I was working this week. So it's a new sponsor we have. With the Thrive Fantasy app, it's a daily fantasy sports app for player props. Come #prop up on Thrive Fantasy this season. What you can do if it's NFL, you can choose 10 of the 20 players prop options to build your lineup. If it's the NBA, MLB, PGA, or even esports, they have esports too, which by the way isn't actually a sport. That's a different question. That's a different topic.
Bro, esports is sport.
That's a different topic.
Don't tell that to Ben Simmons. He'll smack.
FaZe Clan. Hit me with the FaZe Clan, baby. Choose 5 out of the 10 player prop options that to build your lineup. Each prop has a fantasy point total associated with the over or under based on the likelihood of occurrence. The more points a selection is worth, the riskier it is. And then as you rack up the points, you can become more likely and more eligible to win a share of the prize pool. Use the code Simmons43. It's non-case sensitive. Simmons43. Users will enter the code to sign up, and when they make their first deposit, minimum $20, that is, receive an instant deposit, match up to $50, and you will receive $20 cash. The link we provide over Twitter. If you cannot provide it over this, we don't know how to. That would be some cutting edge new technology shit right there. But our new sponsor, Thrive Fantasy Sports. Make sure if you want to win big money, you go download that app, enter the code Simmons for 3, and they will hook you up. Now, Brock, next time we do an ad, you'll be 21, and you will be able to do the King Cobra ad. So I will give you that privilege. I will take over the Thrive Fantasy app ad full time because that was the deal that I signed off on.
So you got to give a prop bet every show, though.
Oh dear,
you got to give one prop bet every show, one that's going to lock.
Listen. I just supply the ad and I make the money and I disperse it to you.
Where's my cut? You get some sweet merch. You get a TPL hoodie. All I get is this King Cobra. No, but for real, living down at a school where the crime rate's high, I feel like this is a valuable piece to have. You might think it's a King Cobra can opener. Slide one of these out of my pocket. Keep it in between my fists. Gotta be game on.
So I remember I was younger. I was like 21. You're going to Florida for like a vacation.
Mm-hmm.
I brought it with me because I thought there'd be a point where I envisioned in my mind there'd be a point where I'd be shotgunning a beer on my back deck. I guess
that's some weird fetish. Like, listen, man, I don't kink shame, but go ahead. What do you
mean kink shame?
That just sounds like a weird fantasy.
Fair enough.
Shotgunning.
Fair enough. So I put the King Cobra in my pocket, which to get through customs or to get through the TSA was interesting nonetheless. But I go to sit down on my seat on the flight, and I feel this pain in my left upper backside thigh. I'm like, this is really weird. And then I go to the bathroom. And I'm in the bathroom, and I notice that there's something that the pain's still there. And then someone alerts me. They're like, "Are you bleeding? Are you okay?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" I look at the back of my pants. There's a big pool of blood in the back of my pants.
Damn.
I
Did you have your period or what?
I cut myself with the Cobra, and it was a nice cut. I needed like a stitch or two to close that wound back up.
Is that serious?
Well, I mean, I sat on it. I didn't do anything about it.
I got a little weapon here. Look, who's talking with me in the chat? We got some comments here. I don't even know who these people are.
I don't know what Troy's talking to himself. I don't know what he's doing.
No, let me say what's up to Moose. Moose, if you're watching, my guy, I appreciate you. Yacht. This is Yachty. I don't know if that's for Lil Yachty or what, but you're my guy too. Whoever you are, you're my guy. Stay solid, baby. Stay solid, baby.
Oh no. Mark Wenger says Tobias Harris play right now is like watching Charles Barkley golf swing. I don't know that it's that bad, but there was a point where he pump faked a three tonight that was wide open. They were down like 21. And then he settled with like a 15-foot midi. And I was like, this is the crux. This is what it's come to. This is the point of demise for this team when he does that. But listen, they still have such a long way to go. And they have, there's going to be a lot of winning this season with this team. And I think ultimately, like, and I'm going to write, I tweeted this out already tonight. I'm going to write about it again in the last part of my column for Last Out Media as Brock's camera goes in and out again. You're going to have a really good hinge profile when the picture.
Hinge? What is it?
You don't know Hinge?
Hell no. What is it?
Oh yeah, go ahead. Go Google it. Go Google it.
I'll Google it. Google it right now.
I know you scheming ass. I know what you do. But there's going to be an element of randomness to this season. And I think we're seeing it right now. What?
What do I look like getting on a dating app? You need an app for that. Come on, bro.
Yeah. Well,
you either have it or you don't.
Oh, wow. Okay. Do you have it?
Hey, listen, man, that's not for me to say. That's not for me to say.
Do I have it?
I don't know. I gotta listen. I'm not a judge. I just talk about basketball.
You're like that song with Ariana Grande and Mac Miller. It's like, I'm not a player. I just play a lot.
Not familiar with the song, but I
get it. Bullshit. You are. You know you are. Anyway, now that I've embarrassed myself enough.
Goodness gracious.
So there has been a pretty significant element of randomness to the season. And like you look at Christmas Day, 4 blowouts, really almost 5. Tonight, Nets lose to the Hornets after they beat the Celtics by like 20 plus, and the Warriors by like about 1 billion. The Clippers lose to the Mavericks by 50 after beating the Nuggets and the Lakers. The Cavaliers beat the Sixers. The Bucks lose to the Knicks by 20. There's going to be an element of randomness to this season because of quick turnaround, a lot of quick turnover with rosters, and people just trying to figure things out real quickly. It's really important to not drive yourself crazy by jumping back and forth with this team, or with any team for that matter, after every game. So you got to take the aggregate. You got to not take every performance as if it's like the do or die. And you got to think rationally, which I know in the city of Philadelphia is just like an illegal act. But it's something that you have to do to keep perspective, is to think about the fact that there's going to be a lot of teams losing to bad teams on any given night. And I think there's going to be a couple. There's going to be teams that you think are supposed to be bad that are actually kind of good, maybe okay. I thought the Cavaliers played really, 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 really well tonight. Defensively, they were all over the passing lanes. They were making every shot they took. They really weren't turning the ball over that much. And, they're maybe not a good team, but they played really well tonight, I thought. And some nice bad teams are going to play well. Brock, any parting shots?
To kind of piggyback on what you said, it's basketball. It's entertainment. It's a sport, okay? And we're fans of the sport. I'm generalizing here, but we're fans of the sport. Some cover it, some watch it, some play it. But ultimately, you don't know these guys playing it, and they don't know you. So stop losing sleep Yeah, humble brag. They might know AK. A couple of them might know AK.
My two questions I've made NBC Sports Philly the last two nights. My family has been texting me nonstop. They're
Okay, there you go. A
just
little
like,
bit
we
of
hear
clout.
you, we hear you, we hear you.
A little bit of clout. Okay, so I generalize, but for most of us, we're just fans. Okay, so you shouldn't be losing any sleep over wins and losses. It shouldn't affect your mental. You shouldn't take to Twitter and run to the internet and rant about why the basketball team you like stinks or why the player you like doesn't shoot. All right, just take it easy. We're take it easy. We're 3 games into the season, okay? And when I say I'm not speaking about the Sixers. I'm speaking about, as NBA fans, we're only 3 games into the season. So relax, enjoy basketball, appreciate it while it's here, because last March it wasn't here for a while, and a lot of people, including me, were down bad without it. So just watch basketball, look around the league, watch other players, enjoy their greatness, and root for your team. But at the same time, don't lose sleep, man. Don't let it affect your mental. And that's all I have to say, Austin. I appreciate the King Cobra. And in about 20 or so minutes here, I'll be 21, so we can start getting some revenue for these King Cobra ad rolls.
Have you watched what teams have you watched so far? Like besides international?
I watch everybody. I've probably seen one of each team's games so far.
So you think you've seen all 30 teams play?
I've seen every team play live except for the Magic. I haven't watched the Magic games live yet. But
have you watched? But you watch full games.
Yeah, of course.
You watched every team play a full game except for the Magic.
Damn near, I've probably watched every team play at least one full game this season.
A lot of time in your hands.
I do, bro. I'm on winter break. What? I don't have it. We're locked down. I comply with the restrictions that are associated with COVID-19, right? I like to wear my mask. I like to social distance. I don't go anywhere. I hang out with my friends and we watch basketball. So I'm on a 24-hour cycle.
I watched Oklahoma City versus Charlotte today.
Okay. That was a good game.
Al Horford looks so bad.
So what? You watched it from yesterday today?
Yeah.
Okay. Because Charlotte had another nice game tonight.
Yeah, Charlotte, I think is going to be fine. They're going to get their pick and roll defense in order because they don't cover it well.
Yeah.
But Horford looked really bad in Oklahoma City.
He did. And for all of the fans that were saying, look at what Horford did. Look at him in the preseason, 15-20. Yeah. He's Al Horford at the end of the day on Oklahoma City. But, Austin, thoughts on Darius Bazley? You like him?
Time will tell.
I like him a lot.
I thought that Pokuševski kid looked like he was way out of his league. I mean, he had no idea where that ball was going on any.
Yeah, he's young.
Yeah.
But I saw Scout with Brian did a piece on him as to why he'll be like the next freak athlete unicorn big.
Yeah. I watched Minnesota and Detroit.
That was another good game.
Detroit team is so freaking weird.
Yeah, they are. I mean, I like Killian. I like that Derek is his mentor. And listen, we were talking about Blake Griffin with the strap, bro. He had 8, I think like 24 of his 26 points came from beyond the arc. Blake was torching from deep. He was torching.
Box development right there.
He was torching.
But like I thought it was really interesting that they brought both D'Lo and Anthony Edwards off the bench.
Yeah. I think they're going to have some problems sorting out that rotation, but Ricky Rubio helps everybody, so he'll probably anchor that offense and play point. But, I mean, between Edwards, Malik Beasley, and D'Angelo Russell, there's a lot of offense and there's virtually no defense between the three of them except for Edwards. So once Edwards gets a little more acclimated and gets his feet under him, he can definitely seize a starting spot in that starting five.
Yeah, and then the game I watched, New Orleans and Miami
on Christmas.
And I gotta tell you, I think if I had to guess, they probably re-signed Steven Adams to boost his trade value at the deadline with the intention of flipping him, because I don't think that's a fit at all.
Well, Offensively, it's not, because why would you want to clog the paint any further when you have a guy like Zion who's just going to drive or get all of his buckets in that area? But defensively, Zion isn't good enough right now to be a starting center. So at least for the time being, Steven Adams can help them out defensively. I think Eric Bledsoe is a piece they'll have to move on from. He's more of an albatross than Steven Adams, in my opinion. He looked pretty bad. I don't know if you've watched any Indiana Pacer games. I've watched both of the Boston games so far, all three of them, I should say. Tatum is a killer. He's got a great bag.
I think he's overrated.
He's not. I promise you, Jason Tatum is a killer.
He might be.
Jaylen Brown looks like he's stepping up, and he wants that offensive responsibility to be that second scoring option in Boston. But without Kemba Walker for a little while, Boston could struggle, but they still look really good. That Tristan Thompson, Daniel Tice lineup, though, that's a little suspect. But my main point, Austin, Indiana, if you have a chance to watch them, you got to watch Domantas Sabonis. I mean, he's legitimately blossoming into one of the best players in the NBA. And I don't think I'm overreacting. I mean, through his first three, 73 points on 47 shots, almost 60% from the field, 4 of 9 from deep, double-double in each game. He's a menace on the boards, one of the best screen setters in the league. So Domantas Sabonis is slowly, quietly blossoming into one of the best players in the league right now.
I was watching the Nets, and it hit me that, like, Jarrett Allen's quietly gotten better at finding guys off of the short roll. Like, there was a play against Golden State where he sets a screen. It's a slip screen, and then they feed him the ball. He has it wide. He's within like an arm's length reach. He could just like dive to the rim and just flush it. And he sees Karis LeVert in the corner.
That's my guy.
And I like Karis. And he hits him with this beautiful pass, and it's an open three, and he nails it. But I was looking at stats, and like Jared Allen averaged like over a point or so per possession on pick and roll as the roll man. And it was like the frequency of scores was like above 50%. So it was basically like he was scoring every time he went to the rim. And here he is, he's kicking to a shooter. And I was like, oh, they can get him up that short roll. That's a good play. That's a good play.
See, I like the Nets. And I mean, Kevin Durant is just lethal. Like it's abuse in the half court. And we'll talk about this game in a second. But the best team in the NBA is the Lakers. I don't think anybody should fool themselves trying to convince themselves there's a team better than the Lakers, okay? LeBron James, who's on cruise control. I mean, LeBron is chilling, okay? He's putting up 8 threes a game. He's chilling. It's LeBron
and he throws up these like one-legged floaters.
Yeah. He just chucked one off. Like he just came down, messing around, shot a 3, didn't even come close to the rim.
Your reaction to that was hilarious.
It didn't matter. But between the two of them, LeBron and AD, you get 50 points. And as if that's not good enough between your two starters, the Lakers needed a third scoring option last year. Mind you, they won the championship. But what they lacked was a third scoring option, a guy that can get them a bucket, a primary ball handler. Alex Caruso on certain nights did that. Kyle Kuzma on certain nights did that. KCP, Dion. But they really lacked that third offensive focal point. Now, none of that matters because you've got Montrezl Harrell and Dennis Schroeder who combined are a third offensive focal point. The two of them on top of LeBron and AD's 50 points gave you 40 points. Altogether, over 55% shooting from the field. When you get 90 points between 4 players and you score 138, that's unreal. And LeBron assisted 17 of those remaining 42 points, whatever that number was. So they had their footprints over that entire game, and they're just abusing teams. Like you thought the Montrezl Harrell, Lou Williams pick and roll was nice. Dennis Schroeder and Montrezl Harrell is unbelievable. LeBron James and Anthony Davis two-man game, it's unbelievable. When you mix match the 4 of them, the Lakers just have a multitude of ways to beat you now, and I really don't think there's a better team in the NBA.
Yeah. Troy Fulton says, did you see the Mavericks and the Clippers?
I got to watch this.
I gave it a box score, like, scroll, And I think for me, I took away Paul George had 15 points, and then or he had 13 at halftime. The next closest was Ivica Zubac with 6, and I was like, oh well, that tells you the whole story. They just can't make a shot.
I didn't get to watch that. I was really curious. How are they down 50 at half? They only scored 27 points by halftime.
Bro, they only had 13 in the first quarter.
Yeah, so I gotta go watch that game either tonight or tomorrow and see what happened, if there's an underlying problem or what.
But I'm gonna watch this week. I'm gonna watch Indiana because she told me to.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a little bit of Chicago.
Don't do that.
I'm waiting for Zach LaVine to 1 out before I start going this is the guy to trade for.
Mm-hmm.
Trade Zach LaVine. That's that. Trez does look awesome, and he's added that pull up midi where he's jabbing. Oh. He was jabbing on Boban, and he did that pull up midi. I was like, oh, it's over.
And he's saying it with his chest after he gets buckets too, which is my favorite part about
Trez. Rick Carlisle, Rick Carlisle ever harmed anybody. He's Brock Landis. He turns 21 in 12 minutes. Find him on Twitter at LandisBrock. I am at NBA Krell, and my name's Austin Krell, of course. As always, thank you for tuning in, everybody. We'll be back next week. Maybe you'll get back a couple days, actually, for another episode of the Feed to Embiid. We're going to, I think we're going to pick up our pace a little bit with these because it is in season. But Brock has a lot of sleeping to do. I have a lot of work to do.
Your ass is going to be up on Hinge all night. Thank you, Mark. I appreciate that.
There. Thank you, Matt. We appreciate that.
Thank you, Matt.
I think I called him Mark. Thank you, Matt. But everybody, thank you for tuning in. As always, have a good night. We'll see you next time for a new episode of the Feed to Embiid.